Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Real World Productivity Q&A. So I'm Adam with the Productivity Academy, and we're going to get started here in just a minute. We've got questions covering household tasks, how to feel about spending time working versus not working, strategies to stop wasting time with your electronic devices, looking at energy and activity throughout the day, and kind of working with free time and how to best utilize that, or if you should. So first of all, though, before we dive into it, just wanted to say if you're watching this in the group, thanks and appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, you can just type it in. I'm literally looking at the screen and I can see comments as they come in. So if you have any additional questions, you can just type them in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can hit subscribe on the button below if you want to stay up to date or get notified when these are going live. Or if you just want to get it, notifications, and you can check it out later when you log into YouTube and, you'll see it in your videos. Either way is great. And if you're not in the Facebook group yet, you can find the link below. Click to join, just answer a few quick questions. I want to make sure you actually want to be in a group talking about productivity and organization process and all that stuff. But if that sounds like your type of a place, then we'd be happy to have you join us. All right, let's get into it. So the first question was, what free software can I use to manage household tasks? Good question. I think like anything, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error, but I would say definitely want something that's mobile, right? Because you're probably going to share it, I'm guessing, in the household, and you want something that works for you. So the works for you part comes in as figuring out, maybe trying a couple, and then something that you can share, and it's got to be free. So Todoist, I think, would be a great place to start. I use it for a task manager, and my assistant uses it for a little bit of project management, although we're kind of moving away from Todoist for that. But it is free and it's really flexible, and you can create shared projects within it. So you could have cleaning or groceries, things like that, where more than one person can see that. And that's pretty handy, and you can look at things, you can give them due dates. For example, so let's say you wanted to have cleaning stuff, chores, and you could even assign it, have dates, and see what's due or things like that. So if you want to get really involved with it, but if not, it's also just really easy to kind of have a to-do list there. That would probably be my first one. And then there's a ton of other ones. If you like Google Keep, I know a lot of people use. I personally can't vouch on the mobile nature of it. I've just played around with it a little bit. Evernote is another one, and all of these I'm mentioning too you could use them for a lot more. But I think that's all of these are perfectly capable of it. And if you're already using one, it might be good to start there and then see if it's overkill or not. And then in the very simplest, use a pen and paper. So now I'm laughing just because sometimes it can be good to do that. I find that people, like having a whiteboard or pen and paper helps you literally just kind of go through the process. If you say once a week, I'm going to go through the household tasks, and we have it on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard where everyone can see it. And that just helps kind of solidify for yourself what's going on. And then obviously, literally, if other people need to see it, sometimes that could be a way to do it instead of, I didn't get a notification or something. So good question. Tons of good apps out there and software you can use. But like I said, I would make sure it's really, it's on your device. I know that there's some apps out there that are iOS only. So depending on what devices you have, you may want to make sure that it's usable. But Todoist, which I recommended first, is cross-platform. It's available on just about everything. All right, good question. I like that. Second question here is, I have friends, but I like spending a lot of time alone. I can identify with that. I also really like doing work for my job and will often stay late or work on the weekends rather than spending time with friends. Is there something wrong with me? No, probably not. But really, you're the person who can answer that. And I think instead of just saying whether or not it's good or bad, is you really need to answer that question for yourself. If friends are saying, hey, would you come out with us, and you don't want to spend time with them, then, maybe just ask yourself. It doesn't mean that you don't like them, but, what's the reason? Is it more compelling, or you feel more compelled to do work? Are you just literally more interested in doing your work and you're really passionate about it? Maybe something you want to do is look at, so spending some time, I hesitate to use this phrase, but getting to know yourself. That sounds pretty bad, but I just mean, what are your goals? And like the idea of, if it was me 10 years from now and I look back, would I be happier that I was, spent more time and spent overtime, worked on these projects and furthered my profession and my skills? Or would I have wanted to have spent that time with friends and family? Or is there somewhere in between? And, there's literally no right answer. That's up to you. You may say, you know what, I am super passionate about this. This is one of my life goals. I want to work more, and people that don't understand that, that's okay, but that's where my priorities are at. And then you may say, yeah, you know what, maybe it's a long-term goal, but I am going to have my whole life to work on this. I want to develop these relationships and keep in touch, So just some pros and cons and something to think. And it's something that changes over your lifetime. So I think it's good of you to be thinking about this and just say, yeah, it seems abnormal maybe to other people, and then just ask yourself really what's the motivations. And once you have that, I think that makes it more clear to yourself. If your reasons for doing things are maybe avoiding other areas, then that's when you've got to consider, hey, I need to change maybe the way I'm doing things. So all right, grab some water for this next question. I also wanted to say today I didn't have time to set up a screen share, which you probably heard me talking about Zapier, and I'm definitely going to do some more kind of show putting together some Zaps that can really save people time. I've talked about it for content stuff. There's a lot of organization stuff that's cool. So like if you have recurring kind of complex or simple tasks, you can do stuff like set up multiple Trello cards or a lot of these different programs. You do it once and it's really cool. So like things like somebody fills out a form, it takes that data, puts it into another program, sets it all up to go. And I mean, that's just like 2 or 3 steps, but you can get some more complicated stuff if needed. And that's really neat. But I've come across another one called, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Integromat, Integromat. And so I've just started playing around with that because it looks like it's got some really interesting features. It's got like database integration, or potentially it looks like it might be inside the app itself, like ability to store information, and then tons of connections. Some stuff that I think Zapier might not even be connected to, or at least using it in ways that it can't. So it looks potentially more powerful, maybe a little bit steeper learning curve. So I'm just playing around with that. But if anyone's out there who's had experience with it, please leave a comment and let me know what you think about it, because I'm going to start diving into that and using it for probably at first just tracking, helping get KPIs, key performance indicators for businesses together to put on a dashboard in like Google Data Studios or wherever it ends up working out the best. So a little insight into some stuff I'm working on. All right, back to the questions. The next one is, what are some good strategies to stop wasting so much of my free time on electronic devices? This one's really simple, I think. Again, I think a lot of things, you owe yourself a little bit of introspection here. Are you saying, are people telling you you're spending too much time, or are you like waking up or going to bed and your eyes are strained and tired and you're giving yourself headaches? I think just take a look at that. Do you wish that you would have spent the time maybe doing something else? Like at the end of the day, you're like, man, I spent like 2 hours on Reddit or Facebook, and I wish I would have like gone for a walk and read a book and then spent like 30 minutes, on social media. So first of all, answer that question for yourself, and then help yourself. Maybe start a time. I think a lot of times that during the day, it's actually a little bit easier. You have to be forceful with yourself, but like grab your phone and, walk over. I've got the futon over here. I'll throw it over there. All right. It's now no longer within reach because I find that that's one of the habits. Even if it's in our pocket, it's just so easy to pull it out and, I'll just check the email real quick. I'll do this, do that. Out of arm's reach, leaning reach, get it out of there. I think that that's really simple, but you know what? It's really effective. So if you're at work or you've got an office environment, maybe stick it under the desk or put it, if you've got a place to put some clothes or hang stuff up, just get it away. And then as far as other devices, it just depends how far you want to go. You can lock down devices with internet usage. Let me find out. I forget what it's called. Stop using the internet on devices for a period of time app. Okay, I think freedom.to, Focus Me are two I've heard of. I think freedom.to Mac, Windows, and iOS. Yeah, so check that out. I think that's interesting. Personally, since I do everything online just about, it's not really an option for me, although some writing times, I think that would be good. And then the second part of this to kind of get some freedom from electronic devices is set times. Like if you find yourself really doing it in the morning or in the evening, or there's longer periods of time instead of just a sporadic checking, is to set a calendar reminder or whatever to-do list, or if you're time tracking, or write yourself a note that maybe when you come in the door, you put your phone in a drawer or something. And I use phone because that just tends to be what it is for most people. If it's tablet, if it's computer, you can adapt this as needed. But try not using it for maybe start with an hour when you first get home or whenever it is. Again, you need to adjust this obviously to yourself and just get in that habit. And then you can say, yeah, you know what, this is neat, but I don't really need it. Or, hey, wow, this is neat. I notice a big change when I don't have ready access to this. I like it, and I think I'll either extend it or I'm just going to keep doing this. And, be patient with yourself. You're probably going to grab it sometimes, or you got to answer a call or an email. Things happen. But I think that's a great place to start and could definitely help you. And again, some reflection here is really good. Try it for a week and just see, hey, do I like this, or is it worth it? If it's not, change it or drop it. Cool. Good question. And always good to, check that out. See if you can spend your time doing something more productive or something that benefits you. If you just feel better about doing it and it's your free time, then great. So speaking of, next question was, how can I be energetic and active throughout the day? This is definitely one that I'm, this is like, I think this falls under the lifelong working on this. And I think that one of these is starting to answer for yourself what makes you energetic and active. If you want to just be literal, I would, find out, are you better in the morning? Are you productive? Like work out your rough schedule and adjust that as much as you can. If you're in control of your own schedule, then guess what? It's up to you. If you're not so much, or you have fixed hours of work, then you need to make that work around you. But there's obvious things you can do. If you have to get up early in the morning, stop staying up late at night if you need, 8 hours of sleep. Get up in the morning, okay? Don't snooze, don't lay there forever. Get up and, take some time for yourself, be a little active in the morning, go for a walk, or exercise if you need to do that. Then if you don't have time later in the day, more intense, maybe a run or ride a bike, just do that. And that does wonders for most people. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say that this works for everyone, but everyone I've known who does that, it's just a good thing. And I try to do it. I'm a runner, but I don't run in the morning, but I do get up and go for a walk. I find that that's really helpful. And then I do that again throughout the day. So what I do is around lunchtime, I go for a run about 3 or 4 times a week. And if I'm not running, I'll go out and just go for a walk again and do that. I also use a standing desk or like a standing desk. And today I'm trying out sitting down during this, but usually I'm standing up, and I find that helps. Not so much active, but it definitely keeps me alert and I feel differently. You can tell it, right? When you're sitting down next to someone, you're more relaxed versus the energy when you're standing up. Okay, it's not like I'm bouncing off the walls or anything, but it definitely helps. So I think a lot of this can be done by giving yourself then the reminders to do this, because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to go for a walk, and then you never go for a walk. So, set yourself some reminders. If you're using an app like Todoist, maybe Google Calendar, just whatever you're using that can give you a notification. If you want to, use a sticky note and slap it on the computer or wherever you're working, and then make that work. Because you can do this if you're at home. If you're on the road, you can work this stuff in. People go for walks, and then there's so much more to this that I'm not even going to dive into. This is scratching the surface, but kind of finding out your own rhythm, how you work best, and then literally staying active a couple times throughout the day will really help this. And then from there, going into things like more fitness and diet. But that's a really deep subject, and I could probably bring someone in who could speak a lot more to that. But if you want to, finding out how you feel, how you react, what are you eating during the day? Is there something better you could be doing? And you can start fine-tuning stuff if you want to. So good question. Simple, but a very big question. All right, last question, and we'll check back in the group and see if there's any more questions in a minute. Let's see. What is the best thing to do when you have free time? Interesting. So the best thing to do when you have free time. I would say that is totally up to you. Like, I thought about this question a little bit ahead of time, and I think it's interesting from several points of view. One is that it's good, I think, that you're thinking about this. And that's kind of the approach I'm going to take here with answering this. Is the best thing to do when you have free time now, is you're on the right path. Just think about it. Do you want to have unstructured free time? And some people that may sound crazy, and you're like, what? Of course, like, it's free time. I want nothing. But for other people, they may not like that, and that may not appeal to them. So it's totally up to you. I think spend a few minutes just thinking about, does that sound appealing? Do I just want to have time where there's nothing going on, nothing planned, anything could happen? Does that sound good? Or do I want to kind of have a plan and generally know what I'm going to be doing? And you can have both, right? It doesn't need to be one or the other, but just understand how you feel about that. And I think that then you can go and start to plan your free time and say, maybe instead of just having the day off, I'm going to write down the 3 things I want to get done, and that's good enough. And one of them is going to be a fun activity, right? Try these different things. And maybe some of people, maybe for you, you want to list it out like it's a normal day, and you do kind of time blocking, right? You go through every hour, and you may not stick exactly to it, but you write out, hey, here's what I'm going to be doing. So a lot of it is up to you. There's definitely no best thing to do for everybody. A lot of that's up to you. Some people like to feel productive on their free time. Other people, it's, hey, grab the couch, make sure it doesn't fly away, and turn on Netflix. And I think for the vast majority of us, right, we're somewhere in between. All of us enjoy doing the things we enjoy, but we also need some downtime and time to let the brain unwind. So I would suggest then, as a first thing, to just spend a few minutes and look back over when you do have free time. What is it that has brought you the most benefits and happiness? And start to just, maybe even write it down. Just say like, that time I was playing soccer on my day off, and then, doing this, doing that, see what it was like. Is it more structured or not? And how can you get more of that out of your free time? So good questions today. All right, that is going to wrap it up. I don't see any more questions. So again, if you want to ask questions ahead of time, you can go to productivity.academy/questions. And you can join us in the Facebook group and ask questions live if you want, as well as get some other content and interact with everyone. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can check out the link below. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, you can hit subscribe and stay up to date. So other than that, I am going to get going, and I will see everybody next week.